Today we're going to talk about some very specific boxes from a specific manufacturer that are designed to kind of bring back that awesome retro vibe that those old cardboard boxes that are just so out of reach and expensive now used to bring. These boxes bring all that vibe, but they also bring it in a much smaller form factor. Let's take a look. So recently Minibox Gaming sent out a bunch of these boxes to me for review, but what are these boxes? Saying it in the simplest way, these are just tiny boxes with some of the original artwork on them from the original boxes that were out there, and these are just really small versions of those that fit around your cartridge. And it really seems like they've covered most of their bases when it comes to the retro video game community's staples. They have it for NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, N64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Virtual Boy, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, 32X, Game Gear, Lynx, and Neo Geo Pocket Color. This is quite a few systems to be covering, and I know that this person is just one guy that's putting all these together and cutting them and putting it all together, so that's kind of nuts. But looking into the design itself, essentially they've taken these boxes and kind of shrunken them down so that they can fit the cartridge just enough, and sometimes they have a little bit of wiggle room in there as well. All of the artwork seems to be printed on premium photo paper, which I know doesn't seem like it would have that much strength to it, but that's probably why they added these plastic protectors to the outside. Really, the protectors and the artwork are all part of the design here, and you can't have one really without the other. Now, when it comes to the size of these, I know some people may have an issue with some of the handheld cartridge boxes because there is a little bit of extra wiggle room in there. If you put that Game Boy Advance cartridge into one of those, or even your Game Boy cartridge, there's a little bit of extra space. And I think that the reason that they did that is so that you could still see that artwork on the box. They had to make it a certain size so that it could kind of be bigger than the actual cartridge. Otherwise, it doesn't make too much sense to put artwork on there at all. So a quick way to fix that would be to just cut a piece of cardboard and kind of insert it there so that your cartridge doesn't wobble around all the time if that's something that bothers you. The majority of people are probably going to put this on the shelf, and the cartridge can kind of lean in there or sit or wobble around. It doesn't matter as long as you're not going around shaking the thing. And that being said, I do think it would be kind of cool to see Minibox Gaming offer kind of an insert in the future so that it could keep that cartridge safe there in the middle of that box and you'd be good to go. But I do understand that it could kind of throw the pricing for these out of hand and be kind of crazy. So maybe just an extra thing you could get. But when it comes to the full-size systems, those cartridges are almost perfect in these boxes. These boxes seem to fit them like a glove. You have very little extra room for that to be moving around inside the box. It's just going to slide right on there, and it's a beautiful thing. But after looking at both the handheld and the full-sized system boxes, these are both boxes that I don't think are really going to hurt your cartridges. Even if you threw your cartridge around in there for hours on end, it's just rubbing against some really smooth paper, and I don't think that that's going to harm your cartridge that much in the long run unless you're just totally going wild with it. But let's talk about some of the benefits of the size of these. These things are so tiny that they can fit almost anywhere. Most of your shelves are going to fit more of these than they would of the original boxes, so that they're going to fit in just so many more places. But of course, I'd kind of assume that the person who's purchasing these has a bunch of loose cartridges in their collection, and they're just looking to get some sort of original looking boxes that kind of fit that vibe so they can know what they're picking up, they're protecting their cartridges, and they can stick it on the shelf. But a few places that I found that these work really awesomely is on tiered display stands. I found that I could fit so many more of these and make such an awesome display of all of the artwork. I used this display stand here. This is a nail polish display, a tiered nail polish display. There's always an Amazon Associates link below that goes to all of the different things that I get from Amazon as well. You can always go check that out. But I just thought that this was an awesome display that looks fantastic with all of these stacked up there. Tiered displays just really knock it out of the park. And this one showing the majority of that artwork that's on all of these labels just really destroys it. It looks fantastic. And that goes for some of these large boxes too. They look fantastic on these tiered displays and just have a super cool effect. I laid all of these box games back a little bit so I could get a better angle, and boy, it looks fantastic in these nail polish displays. And while testing out other ways that you could display the artwork of these, I found that Syncoplay Retro Gaming has these modern media stands, and they work really good for NES boxed games. They fit in there perfectly. You can see the majority of the artwork again, and they just they have this full big art effect. When you have multiple of these stands, they just look amazing. And that's what we're all about. We're all about displaying stuff and getting it out there so we can get that secondary use out of these video games. When you're not playing them, you might as well be seeing them and getting that nice feeling when you see that game sitting in your collection. But outside of stands, of course, you could just put them on your shelf, and you're going to be able to fit more of these on your shelf than you would standard boxes, of course. I even found that there was this little area in front of my official boxes that I could take these and kind of stack them up, and they looked really cute sitting there in front of all of my Game Boy games. And one of the kind of neat things about them is that you don't really have to care for them as much as you would, say, an original box. These are things that you can kind of mess around with and try displaying in different areas and open and close, and if you damage it, you could go get another one if you needed it. And I like that perspective of it, because I definitely don't like moving my official boxes around or opening them a bunch and kind of creating all those creases and damage to the boxes. That's why I keep my cartridges separate from my boxes so that I don't have to open those boxes when I go to actually play my video games. So this is just another option for me. If I wanted to keep those in a more protective area, I'd put them inside these cases and still be able to move them and open these boxes whenever I want and not really feel bad about damaging a piece of history. So overall, just where you put these and how they display and how they look in your collection the sky is the limit here. You can do so many different things with small form factor items. These cute little boxes that are just kind of mimicking their bigger siblings are just really cool and fit into a lot of different areas. So the people who I think this is for are going to be the people who are looking for original boxes or want to see some of that original artwork that only came on the box and isn't on the cartridge. This is a much cheaper option than going out and trying to buy CIB or even just the boxes out there. That market is exploding and the prices are crazy. Believe me, I've tried to get some stuff and it's just impossible out there right now. So I definitely think that it's a great time for something like this to be coming around and kind of filling that void that a lot of people are kind of looking for. But speaking of pricing, let's talk what the price is for these items, because I think there's going to be some misunderstandings when people look at those prices and they see that it's $7.50 per one. The easiest way to kind of understand this is by looking at the scale that they give on their website. It shows that it starts out at $7.50 per box, which may be a lot for this piece of cardboard with plastic wrapped around it for you. But if you see that it's on a scale, when you get up to around 81 of these, which a lot of people may be outfitting their entire collection, you get to right around $3 per box, which I think is very reasonable. So with all that in mind, the paper, the plastic, the printer ink, and the time spent cutting hundreds of these up, I think that their scale is pretty reasonable. And there's always the option to DIY these. I know TopSpot123, one of my friends here on YouTube who does a lot of videos about displaying stuff, but he does a lot of DIY stuff, has made mini boxes in the past on his channel, so you can go and check that out. And he shows all the different ways that you can make these boxes yourself at home. But for me, I had a fantastic time kind of goofing around with all these tiny boxes. They were super cute showing up in the mail, and I just loved finding different spots to put them in the game room and game collection, testing them out, kind of seeing if they're gonna break on me, and I really couldn't find any other negative issues with them. They're just a really good product that I think kind of fills that void where nobody was making these things and making them available for purchase for a lot of people. DIY is not an option for them, so this is definitely filling that spot. But speaking of filling that spot, this channel fills the spot in which people need to display their video games. That's what we do here. We find cool storage or display solutions and other things as well for game rooms. I mean, I'm always trying to stay on top of these things as they come out, but you know, you never know. Sometimes it takes more time to kind of go through these products and make sure that they work. And when I recommend them, I don't have somebody coming back to me saying, hey, this is a terrible product, this is the worst. I do my best to kind of take that time, get it out there to you guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you hit all those notifications and YouTube doesn't kind of pick and choose what they're sending to you. You can get it all. Outside of that, I hope you have a fantastic day today and collect what you love.